James Twin for the untouchable True School Sports. Let's go, baby. Bow!
Be careful what you wish for because it can become a reality.
Yeah.
The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so I went ahead with this video, and I decided to challenge myself because really, truthfully, man, some of these fighters from overseas that aren't in America, like that are in Eastern Europe or Asia or sometimes Africa, a lot of these fighters, some of these fighters don't have a lot of information on them and they don't speak English, so you have to really like dig and research. So this is my video on one of those kind of fighters. But he's a fighter that I think in this middleweight division could very well be fighting for a world title, or at least be in a notable fight against one of the other top contenders. And that is none other than the number 10 IBF ranked middleweight contender, Vadim Tukov, 16-0 with 7 knockouts. So let's do our best to talk about Vadim Tukov, because really and truthfully, there's not a whole lot of information out there on Mr. Vadim Tukov. So with that being said, looking at his resume, his best wins are against Kudratilo Abdulkakarov, former welterweight, really a blown up 60-pounder, a guy that, on his best day was a fringe contender, but his best days, I think, are firmly behind him. That there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So, blown up fighter, but he did stop him, so that is a name, right? And then he also beat another former blown up welterweight in Konstantin Ponomarav. Remember Konstantin Ponomarav? Remember when Earl Spence all those years ago was trying to fight Konstantin Ponomarav? That's probably the second most. That is the second most recognizable win on his resume, and Ponomarav became a middleweight in 2021. So, that being said, really not anything to write home about as far as resume, but he is ranked. So I went ahead and I watched him fight. I watched some fights of his. He throws a nice overhand right. He's kind of a stocky fighter, big shoulders. Throws a nice overhand right. Loves to target the body, so he's a body puncher. Stocky physical fighter. Think of guys like Stanionis. Think of guys like Beterbiev. Think of guys like Andre Katsuraikis. He kind of comes from that. His body is kind of built like that. He's 6 feet tall for a middleweight, which isn't it's not like huge, but it's slightly taller than a lot of middleweights. A lot of middleweights normally go from 5'10", 5'11". He's 6 feet tall, so he's a little taller than most middleweights. And as far as him in the amateurs, the only names on his record that I recognized from the amateurs were Arian Lopez, who was a highly decorated Cuban, and Peter Kamakov, who was a professional fighter. Kamakov just fought recently on a Tom Loeffler show and lost to Dynamite David Stevens. So, Kamakov's a good fighter, though. He lost him in the amateurs. So, Tukov is very, very unknown, but like many Russian fighters, very well-schooled, seems to be very aggressive, seems to be someone that will bring the fight to the opponent. So the way I'm looking at it for Vadim Tukov, I feel like Vadim Tukov is a guy that Johnny Beck might use as an opponent, honestly, because he's ranked low enough and he's going to come forward. I could see it. But I think right now he's probably, realistically, Vadim Tukov's probably 2 or 3 fights from a world title shot. He's promoted by this promoter named Herman, right? Herman Titov from RCC Boxing, and that's the same guy that used to promote Ruslan Bravanikov. So he's got a powerful, influential guy behind him. So look, it could be 2 fights, it could be 3 fights, but I think in the near future you're going to see Vadim Tukov in a relevant fight. So from in my estimation, I didn't know who he was because I looked at the middleweight division and I just picked a name that I never heard anything about or heard anything of, and I said, you know what, let's do a video on him. And he that's how his boxing works. The names that you don't really expect much of, these are the guys that get picked for fights. So you look at right now, he's 10. If you look at in and around him, you got fighters like Yoanelli Hernandez, you got fighters like Fedor Chikurshin, Amari Jones, Aaron McKenna, Vincenzo Gutierrez. I think those are the kind of fights you're going to see Vadim Tukov in. And if he can win one of those fights, then I think it propels him into a top 5 contender spot and potentially puts him in a position where, maybe he could fight in a final eliminator. And, so he really is right there. But it's just a matter of, can his promoter get him the fights? I think he's not a boring fighter either. Like, he's not a boring fighter. He's a skillful fighter. He's a physical fighter, but those skills need to be tested against actual middleweights. His 2 best wins right now are against blown up 47-pounders that really didn't prove too much in the middleweight division. So the jury's still out on Vadim Tukov. I don't think he was like a blue chip Russian amateur. At least I couldn't find any information on his amateur career. But he's ranked and he's there, and he's got RCC boxing behind him, and I think you guys will hear or see him in a notable fight very soon against one of those names I mentioned that are ranked in and around him. Maybe Mateo Tapia, Shaquille Thompson, Vincenzo Gutierrez. Those are the kind of names I'm kind of seeing Tukov in the running for. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you guys stay tuned and subscribe. You won't be disappointed.